All right. Well, thank you all for joining us on what I am sure is a very rainy day where you are. My name is Laura, and I will be walking you through Be a Citizen Scientist Backyard Bugs. So, if at any time you have a question, Heather is monitoring our chat. You can drop it in there, and let's go ahead and get started. All right. What is citizen science? Citizen science is a collaboration between scientists and people who are curious or concerned about the world around them and are motivated to make a difference. Anyone can participate in citizen science, and the data collected by citizen scientists help professional scientists come to very real conclusions. So in the picture here, the people are doing a mountain goat survey. And we're not really going to do anything with mammals today. We are going to talk about bugs. So, why bugs? Bugs have a bad reputation. People will describe them as gross or scary, and often the first response upon seeing a bug is to kill them. But bugs are incredibly important to life on Earth. They play a crucial role in pollinating the plants we eat, breaking down waste, and they form the base of the food chains that we rely on. A report in 2019 found that 40% of insect species are declining globally, and a third of them are endangered. So this is not good news. The insects pictured on the screen right now are all endangered insect species. The first three are found only in Texas. So the one on the left is a coffin cave mold beetle. In the middle, the one on the top is a Como Springs dryopid beetle. Below that is a Como Springs rifle beetle. And then that beetle on the far left is an American burying beetle. American burying beetle. Now, this is present in several states. The beetles in Texas, though, unfortunately haven't been seen since 2008. So it's suspected that they are extirpated in Texas, which means they are extinct locally, but may be present elsewhere. So today we are going to explore 5 citizen science projects that seek to find information out about insects. And the first one that we are going to take a look at is the Lost Ladybug Project. Ladybugs are a tiny yet mighty insects. They are champions of pest control and they protect crops that we rely on from pests. They are also essential biodiversity indicators. This means that a ladybug in an ecosystem is a sign of a very healthy ecosystem. Unfortunately, like many other insects, ladybug numbers are in decline. In North America, 2 and 9 spotted ladybugs, our native ladybugs, are seeing less and less. In addition to threats from pollution, pesticide, and habitat loss, non-native or invasive species are encroaching on native ladybug habitats. So what we have on the screen here now on the left is a native 9-spotted ladybug, and on the left is a non-native multicolored Asian lady beetle. When you are looking at things about ladybugs, you may see them referred to as ladybugs or lady beetles. These are interchangeable terms for ladybugs. So what can you do to help ladybugs? So ladybugs from other parts of the world are expanding very quickly in both range and number, and researchers are not really sure how this is happening or why. They are also unsure what impact these invaders will have on ladybug diversity or the pest control role that they play. So they've turned to citizen scientists to get answers. So the Lost Ladybug Project is an initiative from Cornell University and is a way for citizen scientists to record their observations. You do not need an account to participate in the Lost Ladybug Project. Everything is done through their website. And I have a screenshot of it here. It is a very simple website, but it gets the job done. There is no app version of the website. Now, photos are especially important for this project, so a camera of some kind is needed, but your phone camera will work just fine. So looking for ladybugs. To submit the ladybugs that you see, you will click on the upload photos on the top right to access the submission form. Just go back real quick. You can see it here just right under the graphic of a little plant with a ladybug. It says upload photos. You'll click that and it'll take you to this page. Now, the best time to look for ladybugs is now in early summer. Wildflowers, weeds, trees, and shrubs are all great places to look for ladybugs. When you find a ladybug, take its picture. But please remember that ladybugs are living creatures and may have not had being counted in the ladybug census on their plans for the day. So please avoid harming any insect during your ladybug count. The picture does not need to be perfect. It only needs to show enough of the ladybug for researchers to identify it. They can always zoom in if they need to. Now, if you want to use a background, maybe gently catch the ladybug and move it to somewhere else for the photo. A light gray color is recommended as a good choice for a background. Please don't use your flash. Beetles' wing covers are called elytra. They're shiny and they're reflective, so it can reflect that flash right back at you, and it can also hurt their eyes just like it might yours. You can upload 2 photos per submission, and more than 1 ladybug in a photo is okay, but try to avoid having no more than 10 ladybugs in one picture. So you can take notes. I like to take my notes as I find ladybugs, and then I can fill this form out once I get back home and have time. So what you want to make sure that you are going to record is your location. So the country, state, county, and the nearest city to your sighting. The date and the habitat. This is the plant or surface where you saw the ladybug. Your choices from the drop-down are going to be garden, yard, meadow, bushes or shrubs, woods or trees, wetland, water or shore, a building, soil, rocks or sand, pavement, or an agricultural field crops. And this includes hay and orchards. Now, this additional information is helpful to include, but not required. So you can fill in some of it, all of it, or none of it. Now, if you are intentionally going out and being like, I'm going to use this time to look for ladybugs, this is a really good information to include if you're intentionally looking for them. Typically, I just record as I find them. So if I'm out on a hike and I come across one, I'll take pictures and save information, or if I find one in my yard. But you can also intentionally go on a ladybug hunt, especially if you have younger children with you. It's fun to do a ladybug hunt, and that is where you will put in the number as spotters. This is just the number of people who are participating in looking for ladybugs that day. You can include their ages and their names if you would like, the length of time you spent searching in both hours and minutes, the method of searching. So are you taking pictures on plants? Are you collecting them by hand? Are you using a sweep net, a beading sheet, or something else? The weather. Was it sunny, partly cloudy, overcast, or raining? The temperature at the time that you saw the ladybugs. The street address where you found it, or the site or trail name of where you were. And then if you are collecting on tribal land, if you are participating in the Kids to Farm initiative, the time of day, and then the position in longitude, latitude, and altitude. And these can typically be found in a Google search. If you just put in, like in the city, what is the altitude for Plano, it'll come up in a search. Now, no ladybugs is still data. So if you spend time looking for ladybugs, but you don't see any, make sure you still submit a form. Once you move on to page 2, so after you hit submit for this form, there will be an option to share what ladybug species you think you found. This is not a requirement, and it is okay to submit your best guess. Meet our ladybugs. The Lost Ladybug Project seeks to find native species of ladybugs, but it's also important to submit invasive species as well. Now, there are identifying guides under Ladybug Learning on the website that can help you. And I've also included some pictures here. So on the left in the blue box, these are the native ladybugs that you will find in North Texas, or we hope to find in North Texas. They should be here. There is the parentheses ladybug on the top left of that box. Next to it is the convergent ladybug. Below the parentheses is the two-spotted ladybug, and next to that one is the nine-spotted ladybug. And this is a native species, and it is now one of the rarest ladybugs in North America. On the right in the red box are our non-native ladybugs that are kind of moving in. There's the checkered spot ladybug, and then next to that is the seven-spotted ladybug. And below those two pictures is our big problem. This is the Asian ladybug. So the other two ladybugs in this box are considered non-native. They aren't from here, but they aren't doing too much damage. However, the Asian ladybug is truly an invasive species, and they are considered one of the most invasive species in the world. They can be very difficult to identify because they have very varied markings. They are not true ladybugs, and they often overwinter in homes, so you are likely to find them in your house. And they also can produce a very foul-smelling odor, which is unfortunate. So if you find non-native and or invasive species, you do want to submit them to the Lost Ladybug Project as well. All right. Moving on from ladybugs, let's take a look at some more summer insects, the firefly. So let's take a look at Firefly Atlas. Fireflies are part of many people's childhood memories. Lately, though, firefly numbers seem to be decreasing, and much like ladybugs, researchers can only guess as to why that is happening. Currently, habitat loss and light pollution are to blame. There are fewer habitats for fireflies to lay their eggs, and human light pollution is believed to interrupt firefly flash patterns. These flash patterns have been observed being disrupted by car headlights, and that is how they communicate and find mates. So this can cause fewer fireflies to be born in that next generation. So what can you do? Firefly Atlas is the citizen science project for fireflies. It is a project from the Xerces Society, and the Xerces Society is a nonprofit that focuses on the conservation of invertebrates and their habitats. The goal of this project is to better understand and conserve the diversity of North American fireflies. Researchers hope to advance their collective understanding of firefly species distribution, phenology, and habitat associations, as well as identify the threat to their populations. It is open to anyone in Canada or the United States, and you do need an email address to create an account. Firefly Atlas is only available through your web browser, and there is not an app for this project. So you can go to the website and create your account, and then you can start looking for fireflies. Now, firefly season in North Texas is from May through September, and there are two ways to participate in Firefly Atlas: an incidental sighting and surveys. Incidental sightings, you are going to use this option for any fireflies that you come across throughout your day. This is the one I use the most. It is, if I see some flashing in my backyard, I will take down this information and submit it through Firefly Atlas. And you are going to record your location. You can use the map. You can find your address on the map, and it will auto-populate the latitude and longitude. Add the state you saw the firefly, and if the location you have selected is an accurate measurement. So you can say, yes, it's exactly where I say it is, or I've kind of slipped in a distance from where I am just a little bit. If you are in a sensitive location, so let's say you don't want to share your address, or if it's someplace that could be damaged if a lot of people visit, you can mark it as a sensitive location, and this ensures that the exact location is not displayed to the public. Xerces Society will be able to see the exact location, but other users will not. Then you will want to fill out event information. So this is an incidental firefly observation. So from that drop down, you will choose incidental firefly observation. You will say if it is daytime or night and your observer's name. You can just put in your first name. You don't have to put your full name in. You can add the number of observers and their names if you would like. This is optional. And your start and end time, date, the elevation of your location in meters. Again, do a Google search for elevation of your location. So you can just type in Plano, Texas elevation, which typically should show you that the elevation is 219 meters above sea level. Your approximate area searched in hectares, and the target species is optional. So if you are unsure of the area, don't worry. And then you will say if fireflies are present or not, and you add any notes that you might have. The weather is optional, and you can choose to fill in some of it or all of it. Light conditions, habitat type, and site management are also optional. And then you'll just click Save Event Survey to submit your sighting. You will then have the option to upload photos to the Add Observation portion of this form, which will appear once you're ready to submit. Now, a Firefly survey, which is the other way to participate in Firefly Atlas, is a good option for the really dedicated Firefly citizen scientist. Firefly Atlas recommends that those who want to do a survey familiarize themselves with the species in their area, watch a training video, and familiarize themselves with Xerces Society's survey protocols. There are printable data sheets that you can print off and use during your survey, and the form is going to be the same as the one that you would have filled out for just an incidental survey, but every single box on there is a requirement for a survey. And now let's meet our fireflies. The two that you will most likely see in our area are going to be the two-step flasher and the Big Dipper. Now, I have not seen a two-step flasher in my yard. I have Big Dippers. The more you research them, if you do some of the training on the Xerces website, it will teach you about their flash patterns so that you can recognize them by their flash. It's a lot of time it's dark, they're flying around. It's not easy to catch them and photograph them. So you might want to familiarize yourself with their flash patterns so that you can ID them by sight that way. Okay. Well, now let's move on to a different insect. Let's take a look at our monarchs. So we're going from our nocturnal bugs to some daytime ones. Monarchs are a familiar symbol throughout North America. They lay their eggs on milkweed, which is the caterpillar's host plant. They can only survive if their eggs hatch on milkweed plants. The adults can eat nectar from any plant or flower, but their young must have a milkweed plant to eat. Monarchs overwinter in Mexico. In March, they begin to migrate north. Now, these butterflies who overwintered in Mexico are not going to be the same ones that complete their migration. Instead, migration is carried out by subsequent generations as adults mature, mate, lay eggs, and die. Monarchs once migrated in numbers reaching millions, but today their numbers have decreased by over 80%. We are more familiar with why our monarch numbers are decreasing than we are with our ladybugs and fireflies. One of these reasons is habitat loss. Over 90% of the grasslands along the monarch central migratory flyway have been converted to agriculture or urban development. Plano is located in the Texas Blackland Prairie, and less than 1% of the original undeveloped prairie exists today, which makes it one of the most endangered ecosystems in the world. So if you want to help monarchs, I highly recommend planting some milkweed in your yard. This will help them as they journey both north and south. Pesticides unfortunately kill monarchs and their caterpillars, and herbicides kill native nectar plants that adult monarchs feed on, and the milkweed plants that caterpillars depend on for survival. So in addition to participating in citizen science, planting native plants and flowers is a great way to help not just monarchs, but any of the insects that we're talking about today. So what can you do to help with monarchs? Journey North is a citizen science initiative that tracks wildlife migration and season change in North America to foster scientific understanding, environmental awareness, and the land ethic. It tracks the migration of many species, including hummingbirds, eagles, and red-winged blackbirds. Today, we are just going to focus on monarch migration, but if this looks like something you'd enjoy, these opportunities are open to anyone in North America. Like all the others, you do need an email to create an account, and there is no app for the citizen science opportunity. Everything must be done in the browser. So you would click on registration on that main page and fill out this form to register. And once you're registered, you can start looking for monarchs. So you start watching for monarchs and log your sightings. You're going to click sighting to navigate to the page where you will record your sightings, and it's going to look like this. Once you log on, you will select monarch butterfly from the drop-down list under select species and click continue. And you will enter the location where you saw the monarch. You can search by address or by manually moving that red marker on the map. And then you're going to record what you saw: an adult monarch, monarch larva, which would be a caterpillar, or monarch eggs. There's also an option to note that what you saw was the first one that you saw of the year. So you can say, this was my first monarch of the year, or this was my first caterpillar of the year. And then you submit your report. You can view all your sightings by clicking on My Sightings on the sighting report page. Monarchs do migrate twice a year. They head north in the spring, leaving Mexico sometime in March, and then they'll begin their fall migration mid-August. So this means you can participate in Journey North monarchs twice a year. And you do not need to limit your monarch watching to just one site, like your yard or a specific park. You can log any and all monarch sightings that you have. I have submitted them just from a grocery store parking lot. Just whenever I see them, I take a picture, which you do have the option to upload a photo. It's not required. And so anywhere you see them, you can upload them. There is a monarch mimic, however. The viceroy butterfly also lives in North Texas and looks very similar to monarchs. So on the screen here, the butterfly on the left is a viceroy, and on the right is our monarch. To see the difference between the two species, you'll look for black stripes on the hind wings, and this is a viceroy. Now, don't let your confusion between a monarch and a viceroy stop you from submitting a sighting. If you are unsure what you're looking at, try to get a picture and upload it, and then the researchers using this data will be able to spot the difference. They are going to be the experts, and they will know if it is a monarch or not. So in the same vein as monarchs, there is Butterflies and Moths of North America, which is another citizen science opportunity. And it is going to be open to all butterflies. So as we've seen in the last 3 citizen science projects, our bugs are in peril. And this includes one of the most popular families of insects, the Lepidoptera, home of butterflies and moths. So in addition to habitat loss and threats from pesticides and herbicides, research suggests that changes in climate are causing butterflies and moths to shift their ranges, as well as emerge earlier in the year. Researching these trends requires scientists to have access to a lot of data. Some of this data can be found in museum collections, personal collections, published literature, and physical field guides. But all these sources have their limits. They're scattered about, They're not in one central location. They can be out of date. They can be difficult to access. The details that are included are varied, and not all lepidopterists, or those who are studying these insects, know about them. Now, on the screen here are all endangered butterflies and moths. So pictured are on the top row, the Carner blue butterfly on the far left, Bartram's hairstreak, St. Francis satyr, the Argos skipper on the far right on that top row. That range of that butterfly is in North Texas. Below that is the Bisis skipper, also from Texas, and then the bog buck moth. So these are all examples of endangered butterflies and moths.
Laura, was there only one moth on that
There was only one
photo
moth.
slide? Okay, thank you.
So Butterflies and Moths of North America seeks to serve as a one-stop database of North American butterflies and moths that researchers can use. So instead of traveling somewhere to see a collection or go through some notes, they're hoping to have an online database that researchers can use. So as you see moths and butterflies, take their pictures and upload them to the Butterflies and Moths of North America website. So again, there's no app for this project, and you do need to create a free account with your email. And then once you do that, you'll get an email with a link that'll allow you to set up your password. And everything we talk about today does require an email to access. I have been participating in these citizen scientist projects for a while, and the emails that you get from them are very limited. So you won't be spammed with a lot of emails from these organizations. So you will want to click the green Submit a Sighting button on the page once you're logged in to begin the submission process. And once you are on the Create a Sighting record page, you will enter the date and time, as well as any notes about the date you might have. For example, if you are unsure the date you saw the butterfly or moth, this is a great place to note that. If it were at the beginning of the month and you put June 1st as the date and add seen in early June, possibly June 2nd or June 3rd in the data notes, that can really help them a lot. But these are optional. You aren't required to submit notes. And then you'll want to put some species information. So the organism type, you are going to select if it is a butterfly, a moth, or a caterpillar. This is a required part of the submission process. Suggested identification. So if you think you know what you're looking at, go ahead and put it here. You do not have to know what you're looking at, though. Again, experts will be reviewing all of this data, and they're going to be able to identify it. Observation notes under species information can include things about its behavior. Some caterpillars, if they feel threatened, they'll start thrashing around and making a whistling noise. And so that's a great clue to identification to add in those notes. The weather or anything else you think might be helpful to include. If you submit a picture of a caterpillar, please include the host plant. So if it was on the plant or eating something when you took the picture, put that in there, and then any nearby plants as well, because that can help identify the caterpillar. Caterpillars are a bit harder to identify than the adult version of the organism. And then you'll want to upload a picture of what you saw. Make sure that you are uploading pictures of the same species. Do not upload more than one species at a time. The location where you saw the insect, you can enter your address and click Get Location. You can click My Location if you have location identification enabled on your browser, or use the map to navigate to your location. Again, if you have any notes about the location, you can add them here, but they are not required. And then partner projects, you will only use this part of the form if you are participating in a partner project. Otherwise, you can just skip it and then click Save. At this point, you will then receive an email thanking you for their submission. If it is a submission they decide to use in their database, they will then send you a second email to let you know. Now, if you'd like to see what species are in your area, maybe get an idea of what you might see, you can go to the species profile at the top of the Butterflies and Moths of North America website and select regional checklists from the drop-down menu. Then click Go to Regions, click United States, and scroll down until you see Texas. And you are going to have a lot of information from here. So this is a screenshot of the start of that process. That blue Go to Regions button will get you started on narrowing it down to Texas, and it'll look something like this. The map is going to show you the most 100 recent sightings in the state. And this is a screenshot from earlier in the spring when I was putting all of this content together. So I would imagine that there are more little orange dots now that we are well into spring and practically into summer. And on the right are the top 10 commonly reported butterflies and moths in Texas. You can use this list to familiarize yourself with common butterflies and moths, but keep in mind that this is for the state of Texas, so they may not all be in our area of the state. That is a little bit of a difficulty when you are even trying to find a guide for any type of bug, butterfly, bird. In Texas, we kind of straddle eastern United States and western United States. And you might get really excited because it'd be really neat to see this really cool insect that you see in your guide. And then you realize it's out in Big Bend. And then on the left side of the screen, there is an option to view an extended list of the top 20 commonly reported butterflies and moths in Texas. But again, remember, this is for the entire state, not just North Texas. So you'll be looking at species from all across the state. Okay, so we're going to move on to something a little bit different from the other ones that we were looking at. We have been looking at projects that have you going out and looking for living insects in the world around you. And this next option is going to be one that you don't even have to leave home for. It is called Big Bee Bonanza. So we need bees. Bees are crucial to sustaining global food production. 1 out of every 3 bites of food that you take is dependent on pollinators like bees. And unfortunately, just like everything else we've talked about today, bees are decreasing in both numbers and diversity. And unfortunately, our understanding of what is driving these declines is limited because researchers have insufficient data on bee species distribution, which can help predict changes in their ranges due to changes in climate. There is also a lack of data on anatomical traits that could help make bees either vulnerable or resistant to things like habitat loss. Now, a lot of times when we think about bees, you think about honeybees in a hive. Um, there are no native insects, native bees in North America or Texas that are hive bees. Those are European honeybees that were brought over here. You can kind of think of them like feral agriculture livestock. They are not native. Just like pigeons, you see pigeons around a lot. It's because we brought them here with us. That's the same for honeybees. The bees that we have around here are mostly solitary bees. They're going to be operating on their own. These are all bees native to Texas. So there is the bumblebee on the far left. The bee on the purple flower in the middle there is a leafcutter bee, and below that is a mason bee. And then the bee on the far right is a sunflower bee. It is really neat to see the diversity of our solitary native bees. So if you ever want to take a look and maybe do a little bit of a deep dive into the bees of Texas, they're absolutely gorgeous, and it's really neat to see the diversity that there is. So Big Bee Bonanza is a different kind of citizen science. Natural History Museum collections have over a century's worth of bee specimens that could hold clues to the gaps in knowledge that we have about bees. Much of this information is contained in the museum housing the specimen, and they can only be accessed by exploring the collection in person. So much like the Butterflies and Moths of North America, there is the issue of researchers being able to access content to research. The U.S. Science Foundation Advancing Digitization of Biodiversity Collections project has funding to take high-resolution 2D and 3D images of bee specimens in museum collections, and then develop tools to measure bee traits from images with the goal of creating a comprehensive bee trait and image datasets to help measure changes over time. So if going outside and getting up close and personal with bugs, not your thing, this might be a really good fit for you. Big Bee Bonanza engages citizen scientists to measure traits and transcribe data to help create this bee database. So to do this, the first thing you are going to do is create an account on Zooniverse. It's just going to be zooniverse.org. It is the world's largest platform for people-powered research. There are many different projects similar to Big Bee Bonanza that you can access through Zooniverse. Today, we are just going to look at Big Bee Bonanza. So once you create that account, again, you will need to use your email to create this account, and then it is only available through the browser. There's not an app for it. And you'll do a search for Big Bee Bonanza on the project page of Zooniverse, which I have a screenshot there on the right, and then it will come up and it's going to have a section that says Get Started. There's a couple of projects you can work on, and you're welcome to flip through each of those options to see what interests you the most before making your final decision, and you can participate in more than one. So when you open a project, a pop-up is going to appear telling you the goals of the project. So the project I have on the screen here is California Mining B3. And this focuses on transcribing text from specimen labels. So you can click that blue continue button and it gives you a tutorial on how to complete the task. So you will be transcribing the information in the picture. I have a screenshot there on the right where it has the location that the specimen was collected in, who collected it, and what it is. You'll be typing all of that into the database for them. And then once you complete the tutorial, you are ready to begin. So here is an example of one. And if you ever find yourself stumped, you can click Need some help with this task to see specific information on filling in data for that entry box. And there's no obligation to stick with the project you're working on. So if you decide, you know what, this one's not that great, I want to try something different, you can. There are some that have you measuring the size of the specimen with a tool, and that can be a little bit more complicated than just transcribing information. So you may get in there and realize this is not for me. It's okay to stop. There's also not a required number of entries you must make. So if you just have maybe 15 minutes to kill and can get through 3, that is okay. Every little bit helps. So you can do as little or as much as you like, and you can jump between projects. So play around to see what project is right for you, and then you can start helping with those bees. All right. So that is it for today. I do want to share a little bit of some upcoming events with you, as well as some information about Zooniverse. Zooniverse has lots of projects that focus beyond just science. So there are history, there's arts. It's a great resource for finding projects that align with your interest. So I encourage you to explore Zooniverse. And then we do have some upcoming programs. This virtual series, Be a Citizen Science, has 2 more sessions for the summer, as well as 3 in the fall that will be repeats of a few that we did this summer. On July 1st, we have SciStarter. We're going to talk about the people-powered science database. And then we'll talk about iNaturalist on August 5th. And then on June 15th, that's a Saturday, at the Schimmelpfennig Library at 3 p.m., we have a program. It is called How is a Raven Like a Writing Desk? And it is a grown-up version of one of our more popular family programs. You'll learn about ravens and other corvids, and then at the end, you get to dissect a raven pellet. So if you are familiar with our Do Owls Poop program, if you have younger kids and have maybe participated in that, this is just for adults. So you won't have to share your pellet with a child. You can dissect it yourself, as well as learn about ravens, blue jays, and crows. And that is at Schimmelpfennig on June 15th at 3 p.m. It is ticketed, so you'll want to show up 30 minutes before the start time to grab your free ticket. We do want to make sure that everyone who goes gets a pellet to dissect. All right, well, that is all that I have for you today. If you have any questions, now is the time to ask. Hang out for just a few minutes more in the chat. And as always, if you have questions you think of afterwards, our Ask a Librarian feature on our website is a great way to ask those. They will absolutely make their way towards me. Most of the people I work with are aware that bugs are my thing.
And we've got the chat and the Q&A open for anybody who has questions. You can submit them in whichever way you prefer. So far, we've got thank yous and great information.
I am so glad y'all enjoyed it. We've had a bit of a rainy start to the ladybug and firefly season, but I have been seeing some fireflies out and about. Unfortunately, not as many ladybugs. Hopefully, they're just somewhere staying dry and not.
Are we going to have events on flowers and plants?
Off the top of my head, I can't think of specific programs that we have. I do know that we partner with SEED, which is our environmental department's education unit or department, and they are doing some. Heather, you may
Yes, I
be
have
able to.
been to a couple of their classes. Let me pull it up. I can put the link here in the chat for everybody. So they do classes both in person and virtually for those who are interested. They talk about rain barrels and composting for those who are wanting to be more environmentally friendly on raising and keeping your plants. They also do classes on pollinator plants, classes on vegetable gardening. So let me put and we do partner with them as well. They come to the library sometimes to do programs with us at the library. However, when they are not partnering with us, they have a very large array of classes. So I just added that link to the chat. Let's see, we had another question, Laura. What time of night is best to see fireflies?
They start to come out around dusk, so we're staying light pretty late now. I have been seeing them like between 8 o'clock and 9:30-ish. With the rain, they have been kind of staying put, but yeah, 8 to about 9:30 is when I've been seeing them. Um, Going back to plants and flowers, I do know we have some programs for families coming up as well. We have one, I think about making seed bombs and pollinators. So that information is in our Engage brochure and on our calendar online, as well as I think we have Clean Creeks coming up as well. That is with Seed, and they come and talk about the wildlife you might see in Plano. The beavers are coming back, which is always very exciting.
Yes, I've seen beavers on my jogs and walks through the local parks. whatever that park is down there by Schimmelfinnig, Laura.
Oh,
Um, there's a creek that runs through, and I've seen a beaver on an early morning jog before. It was pretty cool. I can't think of the name of it
I
now.
can't think of the name. I imagine the creek currently is probably a raging river, but
Yes, most likely. Okay, I'm not seeing any other questions. We've got a few more minutes if anybody has some last minute questions. All right. Oh, I will, put Laura, you mentioned that book librarian. I will put that in there just in case anyone else has questions. You can submit it. We have an Ask a Librarian feature that you can also take part in. There you go. Oh, if one pop into,
do we have the ability to email out, Heather?
I don't think so. That's something I would have to ask. You do have the option at the bottom of the chat box. There is an option to save the chat, and you can download the chat to your computer. However, I do not think we can email everyone with the links for today. So if you want to take a few moments to copy those links that I've posted, every link I posted today was the websites that Laura shared, and it is in the
This
chat.
this will also be uploaded to our YouTube channel, and I'm making a note
Yes.
right now. I will ask our engagement department if they can add the links to the description or in the the description on YouTube.
Yeah.
I will reach out to them after this program.
That seems like all the questions for the evening. Don't see anything else popping up.
All right. Well, thank y'all all so very much for coming. Really appreciate it. And I hope you have a good rest of your evening.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know that they can get the email list. That's what I know. But since we didn't have everybody show up, do we really want to email,
Everyone.
55 people who possibly registered and they didn't actually show up?
Yeah.
I don't know if they can pull the separate list of just the people who attended or not. I think that would be the better question to ask
Yeah.
because I know for sure that they can give us the list of those who registered because we use that for what are you reading now all the time. But I didn't want to say that.
No, yeah.
Thing.
I'm gonna email just the PNE email and I'll
Mhm.
ask them that. I'll include you and then be like, if this is not possible, can we at least drop these links into the YouTube description? Because that's kind of the only
Yeah,
thing
I
I
think
can
that
think.
would be the easiest thing. Just drop them. They can put a list of them in the description.
I'm gonna put the attendance as 14 because we had 13 at the start.
Yeah, I put it
But
as 14. I already put it in there. I put 14.
awesome. Thank you.
Same. I saw that too, and then someone dropped out. So every time I saw a new person, I would add another one. I
Yeah.
was like, no, we're getting that number, whoever that
Yeah.
was. Okay.
All All right.
Cool.
Well,
That was a fun one. I'm excited for
ooh,
the next two. I did
two.
not know about that, and I see so many caterpillars and moths in my and butterflies in my gardens because of all the flowers I keep. And my milkweed is finally growing this year.
Oh,
This is the third year now that I've
what?
had it, and it's gotten a lot bigger, and I even see a flower bud coming in, and I'm like, yay, I've cleared out all the flowers around it so it can get plenty of sun. I just hope it's not getting drowned out because all my vegetables are. I don't think I'm going to get very good tomatoes this year just because they're just
Much
being
water.
drowned.
Yeah.
My
I,
green beans
I
are dead. They gave
oh,
up. They just got too much water.
I mean, same. I finally got I can find tropical milkweed, but it's not native, so I finally found some native milkweed. And it was teeny tiny, and it gets so battered every time it rains.
Yep.
But it keeps coming back because I think the roots are okay. I don't know.
Yeah, they're perennial because mine keeps coming back. But the last 2 years, my other wildflowers that I have in the same garden had just been choking it out. They've been covering it and it wasn't getting enough sun. So it only got like 3 inches, the tallest. So this year I just cleared the wildflowers from around it so it could actually get some sun and it's finally growing. So,
It is so neat when they come. My mom made a butterfly garden in her front yard before, like the year before COVID. And then she got some milkweed and it had monarch eggs on it. So we got monarchs, which was really exciting. And then they came and did some work and like just wrecked every plant in her little flower bed because it was on the easement between our sidewalk and the street.
uh-huh.
My mother is not one to take things lying down. And the city wrote her a check and she got all new plants. But
Oh man.
all right. Well,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah, that was fun. I'm gonna go check on Sharon now. She's doing JRC by herself tonight because Bethany's out. So make sure
Stay
she's all
dry.
right. Yes. No, it's in my building, thank goodness. So
Oh, good.
I'm
Good.
hoping it's not pouring rain when we get off tonight. That will
I
be
mean,
nice.
it says it's not, but it also didn't say, oh, this was going to happen when it happened. So I don't know what
Uh-huh. I don't
anymore.
trust the weather people
No,
anymore.
no.
No.
I just take my shoes off and wade through our parking lot in my car barefoot.
I have done that multiple times. I didn't want to get my suede shoes messed up, so I walked barefoot to my
Yeah.
car.
I mean, mine are canvas, and I'm usually really good about checking the weather. I mean, like it's gonna rain,
Hmm.
bring my boots. But I've been checking the weather, and it hasn't said it's gonna rain. So,
Yes, it's quite irritating.
all right.
All
Well,
right.
I'll see ya.
Yes. Talk to you later.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.